Welcome to the Catching Up with Casey show. If you are tired of chasing buy-in, frustrated with teams who can't seem to get on the same page, or over the constant struggle of holding people accountable without micromanaging, this is the show for you. I'm Casey Watts, speaker, author, and the creator of the Clarity Cycle Framework. I help leaders just like you take teams from frustration to alignment so teams can work collectively toward a common purpose in a committed way instead of against each other as though they are functioning in different organizations. And we do it all through the craft of clarity. Whether you lead from the middle or you are the front-facing leader of your organization, on this show, we bring clarity to the seemingly small things in leadership that make the biggest difference, because clarity precedes capacity. Now, with all of that said, let's dive into today's episode. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode. I am pumped about today's episode. I'm probably more excited about today's episode than I've been about an episode in a long time. And I don't know exactly why that is. I think I just started having all of these ideas come to me for our content that we're going to talk about today. But also because I have Lindsay Deacon with me here and we talk about habits all the time. So with that said, Lindsay, tell us a little bit about who you are and the work that you do.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Lindsay Deacon, mostly well known for the EduCoach Survival Guide, but I am an instructional leadership coach and an author, and yeah, just your daily Marco Polo pal.
That's right. And you also recently published another book as well.
I did. Yeah, we did the presentation survival guide. I'm trying to think of the tagline. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I can't remember. It's Monday morning.
I know. It's so funny. I'm so glad you said that. I mean, that makes me so happy because for the longest time, I had to look at my book to tell people what the subtitle was.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think sometimes I told people the title is easy, The Craft of Clarity. But then I was like, and the subtitle is 6 ways foster and commitment. It was just like, what do I even know what I wrote? I do, but subtitles seem as important as the main title. Anyway, yeah, so I feel you. So tell a little bit about the presentation survival guide.
Presenters. The presenter survival guide. I believe it's tips, tricks, tools for leading adult work without losing your way or losing your mind. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But we collected 30 of the most common dilemmas that presenters face, mostly in person, but a lot of them are virtual as well. For instance, you planned this big presentation and then only 3 people show up, or maybe you show up to the space and nothing is set up for you, or your tech fails 30 seconds in, and so essentially we've created plans like A, B, C, how to quickly and proactively address any of those dilemmas. And we talked with presenters all over the world. Just give us your best hacks that you've had in real life, rather than focusing solely on research, because theory is always great, but we really love relevant and practical tools, because in education especially, it's like you don't have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of support, so what are you going to do in the moment? And nobody's better than educators at just fixing it, right? Just in the moment, figuring it out.
Yeah, man, that's great. I could see, especially for instructional coaches who lead a lot of PD, and you're not always prepped for that, right? As an instructional coach, or even an instructional leader, like a campus administrator, I think that's one of the things that you don't really get a lot of training for is, hey, guess what? You're going to have to lead some PD or facilitate team meetings, and you're going to come up against some things that we didn't quite prepare you for. So it's a great tool for that. And the way that it's organized too is very much like your EduCoach survival guide. So you really could pick up, you could go to any part of the book as needed, right?
Yeah, it's not meant to be read cover to cover. It is
Yeah.
like straight up a survival guide. Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Which it's not at all what our episode is about today, but I am super excited about this episode. We're talking about habit stacking. And it is kind of connected because it's our tips, tricks, and hacks for experiencing success. And what's interesting is we talked about doing this episode a while back. And then last week I did an episode and it was all about the happiness habit, or that the habits that bring you happiness. And so I told her today we're going to be doing an episode where we're talking about habit stacking and the way that this is going to work. So just so our listeners are clear, we're going to tell you a little bit about what we mean by habit stacking. We're going to talk about the purpose of habit stacking. And then Lindsay and I are going to kind of volley back and forth and share some of our own habits that we've stacked. And one thing I love about this is I have no idea what you're going to be sharing, Lindsay, and you have no idea which habits I'm going to be sharing. So, they could be like personal, like in your personal life, or they could be in your work life. But I want to preface this by saying, or encouraging you, listener, not to think about these as habits you need to take on, but just thinking about them as ideas that will support the habits that you develop. So take it and then modify it and change it to match whatever's going to work for you. Okay. So, Lindsay, let's talk about first. I would love for you to share what your brief definition is for habit stacking.
My personal definition is stacking a habit that I don't enjoy with a habit I do enjoy.
Yeah.
Just to make it more rewarding, and I think get me to not blow off the responsible habit that I do need to do in order to make it work. What's yours?
Yeah. Mine would be very much the same thing. I just think about it as layering a new habit with a habit that's already in place so that you can more easily develop a new habit. So in thinking about this, I was reading up on it. I mean, there are a lot of things that we already know about habit stacking, just that you're able, if you are stacking a habit with a habit that already exists, you are creating like these new neurological pathways. Your brain craves these routines. And so we're just implementing an additional piece of a routine on top of a routine that's already in place. It's just like an extension of a habit that's already in place. So yeah, what would be the purpose, in your opinion? What would be the purpose of someone habit stacking? Like, why would they even think about trying to habit stack?
Well, I would say the purpose of habits in general is so that we can not just be more productive, but feel like we're using our time more intentionally on a regular basis. And so if you are stacking habits, you're basically setting intentions to do the tasks that, in my mind, that maybe you don't particularly look forward to, and have more joy in like just your general routines in life. Because productivity is great, right? Like, but I think there is a point where it's like we are sucking ourselves dry, like got to be more productive. I think there is that sense, especially like the last 15 years, of like being more productive. And that doesn't necessarily make your life more enjoyable or more rewarding. So I think habit stacking to me is more balancing your goals for yourself.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. And that's one of the things that I thought about today too, is why would I habit stack? Like what would bring me to want to habit stack? And you don't do it just because you want to develop some random new habit. Usually that habit is tied to a goal that you're working towards.
Yeah.
So with all of that said, let's dive into it. And let me say too, like your goal could be a fitness goal, it could be a health goal, it could be a personal goal, it could be a work related goal. So you're going to hear our habits probably tied to one of any of those goals as we go through it. So do you want to start us off
on like what some of the goals I have are, or like the habits I do?
Habits, what do you mean? Yeah, the habits. What's that? What's a habit? Yeah.
Well, I would say that I started habit stacking years ago. I was reading a lot of Gretchen Rubin's work. She's like one of my favorite people who writes about habits and happiness. And so I was always thinking about how much I hated folding laundry. It was the most mundane task. It's so boring. It's all the time. I was not good at like dragging my laundry to the place it needed to go, and like people who like often have piles of laundry. It's like you got it washed, but then you don't actually fold it. I was definitely one of those. And she was talking about just stacking habits in general, something you enjoy. And I thought, well, maybe if I just rewatch my favorite TV shows, which I'm going to do anyway, while I fold laundry, I can kind of reframe how I approach this task because I like to clean. And it totally worked. Like laundry is now, years later, favorite my favorite thing to do. Like today, fold laundry is on the list, and I can't wait because I'll rewatch, like, I love Game of Thrones or Mad Men, and it gives me permission to watch something I've seen a million times before, while just sort of finishing a regular task I have to do. I would also say one of my favorites. Oh wait, I'm gonna go to yours. Now you tell me one of yours.
Okay, so mine's very much related to this. And I think I use, especially as I've gotten older, but also in having kids or whatever, just one of my downtimes is folding laundry because it gives me an excuse to sit and just watch TV and enjoy it. So love that habit. I have another one that's related to laundry. So laundry, it's so funny that's probably on everybody's
People didn't
list
realize this is actually like a home organization episode.
Yeah. Listen, we didn't say experience success necessarily in work, but it could be work or life in general. But I would say too, if you're feeling more productive and successful at home in some of those things, it's going to allow you to be more productive and find success at work. So every morning I have the routine of feeding my dogs. And then after I feed my dogs, I go and make coffee. So it's almost like, okay, you fed the dogs, now you can have your coffee. I pass by the washer and dryer every single morning. I mean, washer and dryer is right there where I feed the dogs. So I've kind of my routine to include, I've kind of stacked the habit where I feed the dog. I enjoy my coffee or go make coffee. I just do one load of laundry. Like it could be folding the laundry that's in the dryer and then putting what's in the washer in the dryer and putting something in the washer. Or it could be like, well, there's nothing in the dryer. Thank goodness. I get excited about that. So I'm going to take whatever's in the washer and put it in the dryer and I'm done. I'm done with that. And then I just move on. So it allows me to get at least one load done a day. And it takes no time at all. It's just a quick little addition to a routine that I already have in place. So, yeah.
Great. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are both authors. And so I feel like I had to really develop a lot of routines in terms of just getting writing done because it's a lot more work than most people realize, even than I realized in the beginning. And my editor had a lot of really great sort of hacks to help me just write more, edit more, just kind of work through the writing process more often. And I'll say that because I am somebody who likes to move, often when we are sort of working on a draft or maybe even editing, I will go walk on the treadmill. And I'm not walking fast, but I will walk on the treadmill with like the paper manuscript and my highlighter. And I'll say that like I can get an hour of walking and an hour of editing done really quickly, whereas it might have been a little painful to sit down with my writing for an hour in that case. And I would say at the same time, like he's also shared, like if you're standing in line, like you're waiting in Starbucks, like open your notes app really quick, like jot down thoughts you're having or like review notes you have. So I would say that's another form of habit stacking that I've done where I'm like combining life, like personal life and work life into one.
Yeah, that's great. And leads really well into the next habit that I have. So let's say you want to implement healthier habits in your life, right? So and one of those could be walking. And so I was not great at this. I wish I would have done this more earlier in my career, but I think about just a walk and talk. So like a walking meeting. So
Yeah.
the research shows if you can implement 10 minutes of exercise after about 30 to 60 minutes after eating, it
Mm-hmm.
will increase your metabolism, it decreases your insulin levels,
Mm.
it can decrease like blood sugar and even that out. Plus we know what activity does for our brain as well.
Yeah.
So if you could, let's say you're eating lunch, maybe I would say even 15 minutes later, maybe 20 minutes later, have a standing walking meeting. And that could be I'm walking for 10 minutes, and during that meeting, I have a standing meeting with a colleague of mine. And every day or every other day, this is what we're talking about. We're just touching base. So I'm thinking if you are an instructional leader, that might be a great time to walk with your instructional coach just to do a quick check in, update, whatever, or whoever it might be. Or it could be a standing meeting with a friend because we just want to catch up and we're going to use that 10 minutes to do that. Or it could be a walking meeting with yourself where you are kind of like you said, just kind of collecting your thoughts, getting ready for the rest of the day,
Mm.
preparing yourself. So you're not only getting in that walk, but you're also getting in that standing meeting and that conversation that you need to have. So I wish I did that a lot, and I still do walk or do some sort of activity after lunch typically. For me, that's when it's because, I work on my own now. It's
Mm-hmm.
typically a
Mm-hmm.
standing meeting with myself. So, yeah.
I love that because I'm thinking about uh, I've had coaches that I coach, instructional coaches, and when we have had our walking meetings, like I can go back in time and remember, like in 2017, I was on a walk with so and so, and I like remember what we were talking about, and I can see the park that we were walking through in my mind. So I don't actually know the research on the retention that maybe
Ah,
adding movement to a meeting adds, but I'm certain that there has got to be a correlation.
yeah.
Um, and I think we all know, like, even just spending 10 minutes outside is really good for our brains and our bodies anyway. Even, if you're just talking about grounding yourself. What are they talking about now? Touching grass. You got to go out and touch grass to ground and center
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Interesting. So, and I'm thinking about a time like I used to go on just have a walking meeting with one of the assistant principals in an elementary school that I worked in.
Hmm.
And we were in the hallway, so we didn't even get to go outside. But even that, you're right. I remember our
Hmm.
conversations. I
Hmm.
remember the paths that we took. So
Yeah.
there's definitely got to be something behind that.
We'll have to earmark that for
Yeah.
more investigation.
Okay, your turn. What you got next? Do you have another one?
Um, well, one thing that really is top of mind for me this time of year, especially in January, is also that I set an annual bucket list every year, right? I've been doing this is my 16th year of setting goals. And so I usually set 20 to 25 goals for myself that are personal, professional, all of the above. And I've learned a lot, as well as just spent a ton of time researching, like, how do you really achieve a goal? And one of the things that research, I think, is sort of counterintuitively says is that when you publicly share your goal and then you're trying to establish habits to reach that goal, it doesn't really work because you get this sort of like preemptive praise from people around you. If I said, um, actually, I have a new one right now. I'm using an old school alarm clock because I'm trying to reduce my screen time. But if I just told everybody, hey, everybody, I'm trying to reduce my screen time by 3 hours a day, people go, good for you. Like, and then you get like an immediate dopamine hit and you are actually less motivated to do it. Whereas instead I'm focusing on the process, which is I'm just using an old school alarm clock and I'm plugging my phone in downstairs every night. And so the process really is more muddling through how this works for me. And I feel like it's really interesting. I can't believe how many people, even yesterday, somebody said, how's that old school alarm clock thing going for you? Right?
Yeah.
Rather than how's the reducing your screen time. And
Yeah.
that really actually is much more motivating, and gives us more of a sense of control of like how we're going to get to the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It absolutely allows people to hold you accountable without you really intentionally asking them to hold you accountable because now they know the process. They don't just know, like, this is what my
Yeah.
goal is, but here's the process.
Yeah. So my
Yeah.
habit stacking in that case is like plugging my phone in downstairs while also setting my old school alarm clock. And so those go together. And I can't, every single night at this point, we're at the end of January, I still unconsciously walk upstairs with my phone in my hand. And then I look at the old school alarm clock and I go, ah, and then I go back downstairs, plug in
Yeah.
my phone, walk back, right? So it's like I'm learning, but it's working.
Yeah. Right. And that's an important piece of this is the learning part of it. It takes quite a bit of intentionality in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think too, like I think there could be some processes that you put in place where it signals to you that, oh yeah, this is something that I am trying to do every day, or I'm trying to stack this habit. So I'm just kind of thinking about like back to laundry. I might actually need to put a sticky note on the dog food bowl for myself. Like, don't forget, you're doing laundry before you get
Yeah.
coffee.
Yep.
Just until it becomes something that you're aware of. And even then, sometimes I might be aware of it and say to myself, I don't really want to do that though.
Put your
But I'm
coffee
gonna,
mug like on the washer.
yeah, there you go. It's empty and you put it inside the washing machine. Like you're gonna have to open the washing machine in order to get your coffee. Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, so something that I was thinking about, because I was really trying to think back to my time in schools.
Yeah.
And this is not something that I did well. And I want to say, I wonder if this is you too. Maybe we've talked about this before, but I sucked at turning in attendance.
Oh,
It's
it's the
like,
worst.
oh my gosh, every day
So
somebody
bad.
would call the classroom or come over the intercom. It doesn't matter what school I was in. However they got in touch with you, they were getting in touch with me and they were like, hey, you need to send somebody down with your attendance. I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Is it because, this is probably a leading question, because attendance didn't really matter that much to you?
100%.
Yeah.
And because of that, I would send it down and it wasn't accurate. So, because I was like, oh, okay, I'll send down attendance. So I'm just going to sign it and send it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a problem. And you're right.
Yeah.
I was like, this is such a menial piece of my day that I want to get it done and move on, or I don't want to get it done at all. I don't really care about it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking this morning, like if you're developing the habit of turning in attendance, but also you're trying to eat healthier, it could be that your treat for turning in attendance on time. So you to have a set time every day. I know that I want to have a healthy snack that I'm looking forward to every day at 9:00. When I turn in attendance, then I can have this snack. Or something to that effect. Like it could be, I'm pre-packaging some almonds or whatever healthy food snack you're wanting to eat that day. And maybe I know every day I go to the copy room to check my inbox.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, maybe when I get to work, I'm going to put my bag of almonds in my box. And then when I come back to it later, I've got my almonds sitting there and I can eat those on the way back to the classroom. So just small things like that could be habits that you stack.
Yeah. I feel though, even though I know what the research says, I do feel like some social persuasion or peer influence would be helpful, because I'm trying to think like what would have motivated me to get my attendance in. And I think I would have appreciated maybe if it was kind of almost like a joke, where if I'd told everybody in the school, listen, this month I'm going to get my attendance in. And then when people saw me, they'd be like, Lindsay, did you get the attendance? And then if I said yes, they'd be like, go you. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it would have been funny. Because I'm trying to think what would have truly motivated me. You can't say like, oh, I'm going to make more money, or even that I'm going to feel my life is, more rewarding from turning in attendance. So I think you're bringing up an important point of like, there are a lot of really small, especially when you're a teacher, there's so many stupid little things that you have to do that are just compliance driven. And we have so many important things to do. Like, how do you unlock getting those done without having it be obnoxious, I suppose.
Yes.
It's so hard.
Too bad we didn't. Yeah, too bad we didn't have ChatGPT back then, because
Yes.
you talk about how
Yeah.
encouraging ChatGPT was to you when you were using it.
Well, I use Claude now, but AI
Yeah.
in general, yeah. So actually, even this first thing this morning, I'm like excited to sit down at my laptop Monday mornings, because what I usually prompt is gamify my weekly to-do list. I mean, I've started doing that probably about a year ago. Just gamify my weekly to-do list, and then I put in Monday, here's my tasks. Tuesday, here's my tasks. Or sometimes I don't even say like what day, and then it will assign like tailored customized rewards that because I'm a heavy AI user, it knows what I want, and I find that it's extremely motivating. I'm also somebody who played a lot of video games. I'm like a game sort of psychologically motivated person, but it will categorize things like, oh, this is your big picture strategic work, these are all of your coaching tasks or relationship driven, these are sort of like your day-to-day business tasks, and that really strangely motivates me. But I do feel like
Yeah.
Claude, just using AI, is like unlocking a secret habit in my mind, because if I'd done it once or twice and I didn't like it, I would have ditched it. But it's like Monday morning, let's go show, and it makes it pretty, it makes it colorful.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't started doing that just yet. I probably need to try it out. I'm not much of I don't love to-do lists. And I don't check, I mean, I do check things off,
uh,
but I'm just not a to-do list creator. I
then maybe
I
you won't
love
like it,
big
because I
picture.
live and die by
Yeah,
a
I might not.
checklist.
Yeah, I might not. Um, but it's something to
Because I
try.
think you
Like
have to know
maybe,
yourself.
yeah, that's true. But
Um,
maybe AI could acclimate
yeah,
to my preferences, so maybe I'm not
yeah,
a checklist person, but I'm a big picture thinker, and I still could gamify that. And I do still
yeah,
enjoy rewarding myself. So at
true.
the end of this week, I will reward myself for whatever I've accomplished that week in
Yeah,
some way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to pull up Dr. Amy Perez is in the chat on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us today, Amy. She said, choose your hard, creating new habits or breaking bad ones.
See, I think
I
the way to break bad habits is to replace it with a new one. I
Yeah.
think they go together, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's be really vulnerable. Well, actually, I think we could be vulnerable about this. You've already talked about this, but there's what you feel like is a bad habit that you've replaced with a new one, which is your alarm clock, right?
Screen time in general.
Screen time. Yeah.
I try to be so mindful. I taught mindfulness. I was a mindfulness teacher. I still spend a lot of time on my phone playing around. So, and I think the way that how habit forming devices are, that it's only going to get worse and worse and worse every year that we move forward. And so I'm
Yeah.
really trying to disrupt that bad habit as much as possible. I'm not trying to just quit devices, just reduce by replacing it with other things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I have the same. I'm not like, I don't use social media a lot. But what I am looking at on my phone are my email notifications. And I've
Mm,
always been bad about that. Even
yeah.
so, I mean, for as long as I can remember,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
check my email like
Yeah.
probably every 5 minutes. It's really it's weird. I don't know what it is about me that causes me to do that. But so for my phone, I've just started intentionally either putting it on,
Hmm.
or I'll leave it in a different room. But putting it on do not disturb has been really helpful, because if you put it on do not disturb, you're not getting any notifications. And if I don't see a red dot, I'm not going to pick it up and start like checking things out. So that's been helpful for me too.
Well, that is
I just have
also
to
why I
remember.
plug my phone in, is because I'm using Dan Pink's strategy, phone in the foyer, I believe is what it's called. It's just like the idea that like you plug your phone in into a place that like you know where you can find it, but it needs to be plugged in and not in your immediate vicinity. Because the
Yeah.
idea is like I could still plug my phone in and turn it off or have it in the bedroom, but I am plugging it in the kitchen. But in the foyer, phone in the foyer is his strategy. So I'm kind of taking that strategy and applying it to my goal of reducing screen time.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Any other habits that you're thinking of?
Oh man. You know, I'm always trying new things, reducing others. I don't think there's anything specific that I'm doing right now, because I think also when you try to implement too many habits, that's overwhelming. It's easy to forget. And so, again, about being really intentional is like focusing on one thing. And then once it becomes automated in your life, then you can layer on something else. And I feel like I read somewhere it's like, oh, it takes 21 days to do a habit. Oh, it takes 210 days. It like, I don't know that there's like one specific number to implement a habit. I think it's when it becomes automated and you kind of go, oh, I'm just doing that now. Right.
Yeah. Right. This is what I do. This is a part of my regular
Yeah.
routine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we each shared 3. Again, if you're listening to this, keep in mind that this could give you ideas about other ways that you personally could habit stack, both in your personal life and in your work life, or in both, because they really do overlap. We hear so much about work life, but what's the newest way to think about that is I've heard people talk about work life harmony. So
Mm,
there's a harmony between the two instead of a balance, because I think sometimes, like for me, it's
mhm.
hard to shut work off. That my brain just doesn't work that way. I don't do well compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
And inevitably one is bleeding into the other, but it doesn't affect me negatively.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
um yeah. So just think about how these habits help you to brainstorm what that could look like in your own life. We would love to hear about these habits. If you are willing
Mhm.
to drop us a comment, send us an email. We would love to hear about these habits that you utilize, or how
Mhm.
what we've talked about would be beneficial in your own life. What are some final thoughts that you have, Lindsay, about habit stacking or habits in general?
When I am coaching new teachers, especially, the number one thing I always try to work with them on is establishing habits, because there's so much to do. So I think habits just make our lives easier, if as long as they're productive, good habits, right? But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like really having a clear sense of what habits and routines make your life easier is really important. And why not sit down at the dinner table and like talk with your family about it as well? Because I think it's always good to have a conversation, just like we are right now. It just makes you more reflective about your habits.
Yeah, which you have just caused me to think about, what am I going to talk about with my family at dinner tonight? And my kids are in their teenage years.
Yeah.
So now is the time to start really developing some positive
Hmm.
habits. So
Yeah,
I feel like it's so funny. I could just keep talking about
I
habits.
know.
Like we could keep going, but we're going to close
Okay.
and tell our listeners where they can find you.
They can find me on LinkedIn, Lindsay Deacon, but you can also find us at our website, which is www.educoachsurvivalguide.com.
Okay. And that will be in the show notes so you guys can reach out, and learn more about Lindsay, connect with Lindsay and the work that they are doing. Okay. So I think one thing that I might do, Lindsay, and you can help me brainstorm this, is I might just create like a one pager and put it in the show notes as well about things you to
Ooh,
think about when you're habit stacking. Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, we will catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Hey, listener, I am so honored that you listened to today's episode, and I hope you gained something valuable from it. I'd also be honored if you did me 3 solid favors. First, subscribe to this show. I've got a lot of great content coming up, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Second, be sure you're following me on social media platforms. You can find me at Catch Up with Casey on LinkedIn or Instagram. And finally, if you are looking to book a dynamic and relatable speaker for your next event, conference, or retreat, I would love to bring a message about how the craft of clarity makes a significant impact on both leadership and life. Until next time, always remember, clarity precedes